Hey, Matt from the Weekend Speed Shop. We're back on our Project VH this weekend. We're getting into the wiring and the dash. We're going to get this all sorted out. Let's rip into it. What's that? Let's get started.
Now, the first thing that we did, we looked up on the wiring diagrams what we need to look for, what color wires, where they're located, and we found that all online in our workshop manual.
Apparently we're looking for a dark green wire. So much stuff all over the place, it's hard to work out, and that just came out, which is no good. These are the connectors, and I just had this wire broke. Just to give you a quick look at what we've done, we've extended these wires just a fraction, changed to these style connectors instead of the original one. Just need to clean them up now, give them a bit of a tape, and then that will look half decent. Also found these wires. I don't know exactly what they're for, but they go into the engine harness, but we'll just tape them back up because they were already taped. I've just pulled back the wiring here that actually comes up out of the firewall and out of the dash, and we've got a dark green wire here. So I believe the dark green wire should be the wire for the temperature sensor, but I'm going to plug in this. I've got my apprentice in the car helping me, and just get them to watch the gauge and see if it moves. Yes, we have movement, so that means that that is the wire for our temperature sensor, and it also means the dash gauge is also good. So now I've successfully identified the wire that goes to the engine on the engine side. All we've got to do is cut into it and connect our engine harness wire from our temp sender. Okay, so I've been running for about 15-20 minutes now, maybe 10, 20, 15, I don't know, however long. Temp gauge is still on 0. I have tested it at the sender and I've confirmed that the wiring is okay, because if you put an earth to that, it does go up. So that tells me that the temperature sender is no good. So we have to jump online and order a new temp sender for it. All right, so we've managed to sort out that starter motor wiring, which was lucky because we only just stumbled upon that. That could have caused us a real problem later on. We've worked out the temperature gauge and found the wiring for that, and we've now connected it to the temperature probe. The problem is that the temperature sensor or the temperature probe is actually not working, so I've got a new one of those on order, and that should be arriving pretty soon. I've also jumped on the internet and I've grabbed myself a Speedo cable from Rare Spares. I'll put a link in the description for that, $100, which is actually really good. I've also grabbed some vacuum hose and vacuum tubing, so that way I can get that economy gauge working back on the dash, get that all plumbed up correctly. I'm going to go through the dash and I'm actually going to replace every single light globe in the cluster and get that all working as well, because there's quite a few globes that we noticed weren't working. So we're going to rip into that dash and pull that all apart now and get everything sorted out. Okay, so we now have the instrument cluster removed. That was a little bit fiddly to get out, just a bit careful because it's very brittle. Apart from that, the radio came out real easy. I'm going to put a new radio in it that I have here in the garage. Center console pulled out just for a bit more access. Need to fix up that cigarette lighter because that's really loose and falling apart. But we'll get into it. We're going to pull this dash apart, replace every single light globe in that cluster. All right, so we're going to pull this vacuum hose out. It's 40-year-old, crusty as, it's hard as a rock, this stuff, so I'm glad we're just going to get rid of it. I might clean up some of the other vacuum tubes around here on the front of the engine as well. Pull this Speedo cable next. All right, now it's time to jack it up, get underneath, and we can get this cable replaced. So we'll get this under the subframe and we'll get it jacked up. This is also going to be our first look underneath the car since we bought it. Guys, another thing with these cars, use a safety stance. Don't be an idiot and get underneath it with just a jack only. All right. Now that we've got our stands in place, we can get underneath it nice and safe. Okay, so at a quick glance underneath, looks like the suspension bushes have been done because I can see control arm, lower control arm bushes. The strut, camber strut has also been replaced. Sway bar rubbers again, the D-shackles as well as the sway bar links. I reckon these guys weren't lying when they said the whole suspension's been redone. Looking underneath, it doesn't look too bad. A couple of minor oil leaks, but we won't call them oil leaks because we know these engines just sweat horsepower. All right, so looking at the back here, I can see brand new handbrake cables. The exhaust system's pretty clean the entire way through. It's got full headers, slight sweating from the oil pan on the transmission, but that looks like it just needs to be tightened up because the rear seal looks pretty clean. Do actually have that clunking when it drops down a gear, so we may just check that out. It might even be just low on fluid. Let's get this Speedo cable going. And there she is. So I'm going to need a 10mm socket extension, and that should just pop right out. Oh, I love these cars. They are so easy to work on. I don't even know what this wire's for here. More bloody wiring. So I've located the Speedo cable where it bolts through the gearbox. Just going to grab my Speedo 11. Alright, so I found out where the Speedo cable goes in the side of the gearbox. Got an extension bar, 11mm socket, wobbly bar. We're going to crack this nut and get this cable out. Okay, that should be enough. Okay, and that's the retaining bolt and washer, and that cable should hopefully just pop out. And there it is, one old Speedo cable. Alright, whenever you buy new parts, like this Speedo cable, whether it's brand new or even a reproduction, it's always good to check it and double check against the old part. It could even be an original manufacturer's cable. Just make sure you check it out. Rare spares warranty. Alright, so this is my new cable. This is my old cable. So first thing we want to check is the length. Yep, that's pretty much correct. Check the ends, look the same. And as you'll see here, these ends look the same, and again, both these ends look the same. So we're going to pop this in and get it replaced. Okay, so I've also just popped off the Speedo gear. We're just going to pop that on and make sure it's all okay and seated properly. Also want to check the gear, make sure no missing teeth or any damage to it as well. This one looks really good. Okay, so that's all popped on properly. Just going to open up, grab the other end of the cable, rotate the gear, and make sure that that's actually rotating. So I'll show you that there as well. And it is, which means that the cable's good to go. So we're going to pop it underneath, get it all fitted. Righty-tighty just became lefty-loosey. Shit. Okay, so that was close. I just snapped the bolt that holds the retaining clip in the gearbox for the Speedo cable. I'll show you that. It just went from righty-tighty to lefty-loosey really quickly. Luckily, I'll get a close-up of this. So that bolt has just snapped clean off. Looking at it, it's probably been broken and damaged for quite some time. But I'm glad that I found it now, and that wasn't too hard to get back out. I used a couple of screwdrivers and some picks, and I managed to dig it out of the side of the gearbox without doing any damage, of course. So now I've got to try and find a replacement bolt. That looks like it's an imperial thread, not a metric, which makes sense for an old Holden like this. Find myself a new bolt, and we'll get this back in and get the Speedo cable back in again. Okay, I'm going to route this cable back up here through the floor pan. Sorry, from underneath the floor, and then back into the hole where it needs to go for the cable to come through. Rightio, I just jumped in the car and the cable's already here in place. I don't need to hardly do anything, so we're going to go back on the other side, get that grommet back in place, cut a small hole for the vacuum tube to go through, and then we're going to route our vacuum tube up through here, out to here. Okay, so we've got our vacuum tube here. We're just going to trim that down to size and connect it to the carby. Now we can get our vacuum gauge working. I've also removed the old vacuum advanced tube because that one is just crusty and just terrible, so I don't even know if it was working properly. So we're going to get that while we've got the hose here. Got a little bit extra. May even just change some of these old vacuum hoses here. There's another one that's just absolutely terrible on the choke. All right, so we've just run our vacuum hose up here through there, and we've got it now ready to go. Speedo cable is also here ready to go. We just now need to clean up our instrument cluster now and pop that back in. Okay, so we've now cleaned up and replaced our Speedo cable. We've cleaned up and replaced the vacuum hoses. We've cleaned up and replaced some of our wiring, repaired what we needed to. Next step for us, we've now got our temperature sensor. We're going to get that replaced while we're at it too. So we've now got our new temperature sender. It's pretty simple what it is. The old one's down in here. We're going to pop it out. Well, that's it for now. We're just cleaning up and we've achieved a lot this weekend. We sorted out the wiring for that temperature sensor, which is great. That's now working, but it also highlighted an issue with some wires up on the firewall, which actually turned out to be the ignition wiring. So I'm glad that I found that and I was able to fix that as well. Got the vacuum hoses replaced on the engine and up to the instrument cluster. With the instrument cluster itself, we pulled that out, gave it a really good clean, and we've also replaced all of the light globes. Then we got that Speedo cable replaced. Kind of glad that that wasn't so bad with that broken bolt. That could have been a lot worse, and I could be underneath there pulling a gearbox out right now. So happy that that was such an easy fix. Couple of things we still need to address. The fuel gauge I didn't get to touch. Guessing that that's just a sender unit, but we'll find out a little bit more. Radio and that cigarette lighter, still haven't had a chance to look at those either. So save them for another weekend. That's all from us for now. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and hit that alarm bell so that way you find out when the next video drops.